Back then, I thought I was just this miserable human. There's nothing I can do. I'm going to keep trying to do it, that kind of thing. And then I remember, you might have said it, actually. I think you probably did. Look at the people who love you. These people don't even know you and they see something great. Look at the people who love you. And I remember going home and looking at my husband and my children and the look they had in my eye, the admiration, the love. And I went, there's got to be something to love in me. I mean, these strangers saw it, and now these people that love me see it. And so I would borrow what they saw from their eyes. And I would do, they believe I would be a better person. I wrote my own obituary from different points of view. And I remember thinking, wow, I am like living small. So I borrowed their belief. I believed the way they see me. And I tried to walk that way. And the next thing I knew, I wasn't trying, I was.
Welcome to the MINDTRX podcast with breakthrough ideas to live your best life possible and how to make it happen. I'm Paul Scheele, and today we'll be talking with Mras. Mras is an international speaker, communication coach, and podcaster. She inspires her clients to rise above negative self-talk and reclaim their inner strength. Michelle is committed to helping others realize a more balanced life that frees them to build healthy beliefs in themselves. She is the author of multiple books, including Eat, Drink, and Be Merry, and It's Not Luck, Overcoming You. Hello, Michelle. So good to be with you again. You look absolutely splendid. Thank you for joining this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been so amazing to watch your career and who you are as a person just come out in such a magnificent way over these last 5 years. And when I compare an image of you, even when you're doing your TED Talk, when you did, and who you are today and how you show up in the world, there's really some significant transformations that have taken place. And if we could explore how transformation happens mentally, emotionally, physically, that's really where I'd like to start. Could you talk a little bit about the transformation that took place for you mentally around a traumatic brain injury that you had experienced?
Well, it actually started with you. I was at a John Maxwell conference and you did a session there. And at the end, when everyone was flocking to you, I went up to you and said, I would love to do what you do, but I have a brain injury. And you looked at me and smiled and said, great. And I went, huh? It was the first time someone had told me that there could be a positive thing that happened when I have a traumatic brain injury. I lost 4 parts of my brain, my frontal lobe, over my left ear, the back of my head, my 2 hemispheres had disconnected. Everyone said, oh, that's terrible. Oh, we hope you can, you can muster through. And you said, great. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. And I went, I need to be with this man. So mentally, what happened was I realized that there was another option. I didn't realize there was another option. I didn't realize that there was parts of my brain that weren't damaged because everyone was focusing on the parts that were damaged. And what happened when I started, actually, I went to your ultimate you, right? And then I learned about these paraliminals and I started using them because I realized that my brain wasn't just those 4 parts. There were so many other parts that could be playing with me. And they did, and they showed up well, so much so that they started to reform. So that mental choice was, do I want to stay where I am, or do I want to find my own way, be water, over, around, or through? And I chose mentally to find another way. That's number one.
What's so cool about that is very often, once we can envision that there must be a way, we don't have to know what that way is. And because I had seen so many people with traumatic brain injuries overcome them, all I knew was possibility. Because I had been amazed by it so much. So I really love what you're saying, that at one point you're holding this narrative about who you have been and what you don't have. And then you suddenly held a container of possibility. So how were you able to hold that container for possibilities that you didn't know how they were going to come about, while other people are still saying, as many do, oh, you're wasting your time. Oh, you're wasting your money. Oh, this is never going to happen. You're going to be uneducable. You'll never be able to hold a job. You'll blah, 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 right? How do you do that in the face of all of that chatter?
I surrounded myself with people who believed in me and the possibilities. So, yes, I had all that chatter, but then I found this family of people who believed and saw me, the future me. And I borrowed their belief in me as I was holding on to this. I'm going to make this change. I'm going to find this other way. And then I surrounded myself around all these wonderful people who also could see a possibility that none of us knew. We just kind of jumped into the darkness and went, you know what? We're going to jump into the light. While all this other chatter was going on, I let it chatter. And one of the things I think that really seriously changed my world is you introduced me to Byron Katie. And I use it a lot. You said there's three types of business in this world. There's my business, the other person's business, and God's business in the universe. And every time I would hear that chatter when I would go home, I can control what I let in. I'm not going to let that chatter in because I know there's a possibility out there. And then I would get onto a call with my friends, my new tribe, and we would talk. And I would remember, yes, this is what I'm after. Stop listening to the people who cannot see past their face, past the edge of their nose, and see the possibilities. And I kept going. So make a choice, but then surround yourself with people who believe in the unbelievable.
Yeah, there's this idea that once we see a possibility, we can't unsee it. Once we see that something could occur, that has occurred for others, or that exists, we can't unsee that. The thing that we can do is we can ask, well, how could I get there? How could I be there? I love the idea that you didn't go to battle with the chatter, the negative chatter. Just focus more on the good chatter. Yeah. And I have always said positive thinking means POSI, positioning your thinking with the end result in mind. So let's talk a bit about emotional transformation, because in addition to that significant change that you were able to make in your own neurology, how does someone overcome issues of trauma, emotional trauma, that really gives them a narrative of dysfunction and less than and unworthiness? What could be done in that case?
Well, again, Dr. Paul Scheele, you helped me so much. I quote you in every book I ever wrote, and I quote you in everything I tend to do, all the magazines, everything. Why? Because you helped me see a different view. I realized that all those things that I would put out, oh, I'm this because of that. Oh, so and so was so mean to me, and that's why I'm this way. Oh, my parents said this, and that's why I'm this way. What I learned was to turn it and take ownership of my part in it. My part was I never let it go. My part was I took those words and stamped them onto my heart and into my brain and said, this is who I am, and no one can change me. And when I was with all of you and learning the parallels blew my mind. I could see the future. I mean, I would go and do parallels and see the future me and do, that's me. And I would put myself into that body and squeeze into that body, because I used to be 389 pounds. I would squeeze into this body and I'm going to make it there. It was all about seeing the future and realizing that the past did not define me. The past shaped me into the woman I'm meant to be. not oppress me, but to almost like build armor that I can carry with pride instead of weigh me down. And that's really how I say when you go through a lot of traumas and you go through a lot of hardship, find that golden nugget light in it and focus on the good, the light, the learning lesson. Build from what you don't want to repeat, but repeat what you do want to repeat, and then just keep growing. I've gone through so many different things in my life, and I have transformed. And people see a physical change. The physical change is really not the big deal in my mind. It's the mental change of not being the victim of everything that's ever happened to me and seeing a glimmer of hope and light and goodness in the possibilities. So, how do you get?
To that end, and thank you for all the kind words that you say about my work. I really appreciate it a lot. To that end, you created a compilation of women's stories. You asked them to tell their story about the changes that they went through, whether it was poverty, illness, abuse, whatever it may have been, to becoming women who are really quite extraordinary, I think, in terms of their contribution to the world. What was the inspiration of that? Because I do think, in a way, it seems that it really modeled your journey as well.
Well, Hold My Crown, Women of Grit Share Stories of Resilience. That book became a book because as a global speaker, I'm traveling around and I share my stories of resilience. And when I came off stage, women would come up to me and say, "Oh, I have a story too. I mean, I made it through something too." And I went, "Wow, that's fabulous. Write a book about it. You've got to share it. You've got to get on stage." And they would do, "I don't want to write a book." And I said, "No, no, you should share your stories. None of us experience something, the trauma, just to keep it to ourselves. We experience it so we can share the lessons on how we got through it so people can realize that they can get through whatever they're going through in their
Wow.
own way, shape, or form." So this book became a compilation of power stories of women who've made it through whatever they made it through so that we can prove to others that it doesn't matter what happens to you. You will find your own way. You just have to get up. Or as you've said, embrace your toddler mindset. We're meant to fall, but we also are meant to get back up. And these are all women who got back up. And so now my next book will be Hold My Crown, Men of Grit Share Stories of Vulnerability, because men need the same stories. They need to realize that you can be men, still hurt, still have pain, still have emotions, and still get up and still be called a man. And so that's my next book that's coming out.
Powerful. I love it. And because I did read Hold My Crown and I gave a testimony to it for your website, that it really is recognizing the extraordinary in the ordinary, but also that we're not alone in those wounding experiences that we have. And if we realize that our younger self, our past self, survived it, thrived through it to be here to tell this day, to share our narrative today, I'm stunned by the profound nature of your statement that we didn't go through that, except that we could be stronger and share the strength that we gained from it. And I'm paraphrasing terribly in that regard, but you get the idea, is that that really is a powerful notion, that the stories that we carry about our limitation, our unworthiness, our unlovable nature, our vulnerabilities are really there to help us recognize, but hold it, right now we're here. We made it. And what else can I do if I take one small next step, right?
What one tiny difference can you see tomorrow? I mean, in every one of those stories from Women of Grit, we have big discussions about this. Was we didn't realize we were doing it while we were in it. Okay, so while we were in
Mm,
the mess, we're like, oh my gosh, but I'm going to keep getting up. I'm going to keep getting up. And then one day we do. Wait a minute, I'm out. Wow, I'm out. Whew, I'm out. So you may be going through something, your audience may be going through something and not realizing that they are the cave painters for the future. They are surviving and they need to be able to share their story of what they've come through, because someone in the world needs their voice. Someone in the world needs to see someone like them that they can relate to has made it through whatever they've gone through. You just
Yeah,
never know who you're helping.
very, very strong and powerful idea that our leadership can come in whatever form it takes.
Mhm.
And I've often said, God doesn't call the qualified, God qualifies the called, right? So we don't have to be qualified ahead of time to make a profound difference. We just have to heed the call that comes to us. So at what point did you recognize that this was a call being made to you that you needed to heed and stand up as a speaker, a coach, a consultant, a leader?
Well, it's kind of a God thing. It was like a major God thing. With my brain injury, I did not walk or talk without assistance for over 2 years. And one day I was in my living room, unable to move. My husband had just placed me on the chair, and I'm sitting there with my eyeballs. That's all that I could move with my eyeballs. And I remember getting upset with God for giving me so much and then taking it all away with a car accident. And I was in my head screaming at him, "Why do you hate me so much? Just kill me already." And I heard, "You're not dead yet. Get up." And then I found myself 6 feet away from a chair that I didn't know, and I know I couldn't walk from. And I realized every time I was falling, every time I was hurt, every time bad things happened, there was someone there holding me from something, protecting me from something far worse. And so at that moment, I promised that I was going to walk through any door. I was going to stop questioning where I was going and just walk in faith. And that's when I found you, not too long after. But that's the whole thing was I didn't know who I was supposed to be. I
Mm.
really didn't know what speak, go speak. I was told to speak by something that I couldn't see. And my thought was, is this in my mind? I do have a brain injury. No, this is definitely not in my mind. I know I'm supposed to speak. And as my husband said, how are you supposed to speak? You have a 16-second memory and you haven't spoken for 2 years. I don't know. I'm going to have to speak. And so I did. And here I am 5 years later, speaking on stages all over the world for thousands of people and writing books, everything the neurologist said I couldn't do.
I love
I know.
that.
I'm on the right path. I must be, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, even though I'm not supposed to be able to do it.
I love that. And it's about also what a contribution that you're making to the lives of other people. And you're living a life of purpose. At what point did you recognize that this is about a profound life purpose that you now possess?
I think it was after I was already speaking. I mean, I was in India and I didn't even know I was a speaker. I was I got an award in India. This is how funny it is. And I got an award in India, and then I was asked to go to Ireland to speak. I went to Ireland, and someone came up to me and says, "How does it feel to be an international speaker?" And I said, "I'm not an international speaker." And they said, "You were just in India, right?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "You're in Ireland now, right?" I said, "Yes." They went, "Isn't that an international speaker?" I went, "Oh." So when did I realize this? I didn't. It took a couple of years. I was already in the groove, writing books and everything. And I'm just Michelle sharing my story. And it wasn't until people kept saying, "Oh, I can't wait to have you on our stage." And I'm like, it's just me. I'm just Michelle. So I was quite into the speaking world and giving back to the world before I even realized that's what I was doing. And
That's
so
so great.
now I say, share your story, because we are the cave painters of the future. Someday they're going to look back and all this digital stuff is going to be gone. They're going to look for paper. They're going to look for something that we painted on the wall, something more solid. And I believe and I encourage people to be those cave paintings, prove that we really existed, not in filter world, but in the real life. And we had pain and we did survive.
And one of the most powerful cave paintings is that image of the hand on the wall, right? It's just just the outline of a hand. Wow, that's pretty strong. Well, let's talk then about this third area. We've talked about the mental and the emotional. Let's talk about the physical. Because when you say you were, 389 pounds?
Yeah, my heaviest.
That is stunning to think about the physical transformation you've been through. Certainly, the physical transformation of your brain as well. How do you advise people that you coach and you teach on how to make profound, long-lasting changes to something that they have become so accustomed to for so many years?
Don't jump. I mean, I think that's what people do the mistake is, I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to cut all of this out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to run 5 miles a day. And I'm like, don't do that. You will fail. And they do, what? Why would you tell me I'm going to fail? I do, because your brain is not used to all this drasticness. Do one tiny thing to prove to your brain that you can do it. I said, so one of the things I did is, first thing I did is I cut out sugar. And then when I realized, a couple of days, this is not so bad. So the next day I cut something else out. And then every day I cut one little tiny thing out. I mean, and the next thing I knew, it became such a habit. No sugar, no anything without chemicals. I mean, I just slowly took things away and added things that were better. And I remember the day, I have a picture of it actually, where my husband came up to me and he says, Michelle, you need new clothes. And I said, no, I don't. And he said, they're huge on you. And I said, no, they're not. Now I just wear a belt. Now they're comfortable. And he said, no, let's take a picture. Now you have to understand, I was 389, so I tried to not get pictures taken. So I had no pictures of me at that heavier weight. So as I was dropping all this weight very quickly, he made me put on my TEDx dress and it fell off of me. And I went, my mind still saw 300, about 250 pounds.
Wow.
But I was already below, I was like 170, 180, and I didn't see it. And so what he did is he took pictures of me throughout my changes and he put them on my mirror in my bathroom so I could visually see me shrinking so that my brain would recognize that I had shrunk in any way, shape, or form. So when I tell my clients, I say, do one tiny change every day. One tiny, I'm talking, we'll go from 2 sugar packets to 1 sugar packet, then 1 sugar packet to, honey. Then that's how small the changes are. I didn't go out on this tangent to drop 240 pounds. I just wanted to be healthier so my brain would heal. This is all just an after effect of me trying to protect my brain.
Mm.
And so physical changes take a mental change first. And that's what I tell people. I said, you see my outside change, but I'm telling you, it's a choice. It's all in your brain. Your brain can do it or not do it. And I'm so stubborn. That was the other thing I found out. Whenever anyone told me, you should not eat this because it's bad for you, it was the first thing I ate. And so I had to shift the way I would perceive things. This is not good for me. I should have it in smaller doses. That's how I changed it. So I will still have the chocolate cake. I will eat dessert first, but I'll eat 2 bites of it and enjoy it like it's the last meal I'm ever going to have. And what's really funny is since I've done that, I don't even crave it anymore. So it's how the brain adjusts to the newness of everything. And it does, wait a minute, I like this. Oh, and it's so much for the fact that I love French fries. Okay, Paul, I love French fries. But I will eat 1 bite of it, and my body says, what is that? It doesn't even know what to do with it. So I'll put it in my mouth, because the old me remembers it. I'll chew a couple bites and do, and I'm done. And people laugh at me because I want fries. It's almost like I just want to see them because I really know I won't eat them. And that's a brain shift. It's a brain shift.
Well, the idea of cause and effect is often goofed up by a lot of us in modern society because we're taught that we have to cause the effects that we want to have. And the truth is that the first cause, as you've described so beautifully today, the first cause is the mind. The first cause is your thinking. And if you live into the effect first, then all the causes that will make that occur, make that effect happen, are attracted to us. The right person at the right time, exactly the right message or the right substitute or the right supplement or whatever it might be. And we have to be able to hold the container not only for the possibility, but we have to live into it in our minds. So what I'm really intrigued by in terms of your story is even though you were making progress, you didn't note it. And I think that that's also an important part of success, is making note or noticing small concrete indicators of success. So a tiny change, and then small concrete indicators of success. So congratulations to your husband for reminding you that that was key. Are there other ways that we can do that? How can we make note of something that we're not used to making note of?
Well, I'm a journaling fanatic.
Okay, good point.
So, yeah. So every morning I write my thoughts, and at night I write my thoughts. And what I've looked back at my journals. Now, a lot of my books are written from my journals, is because you don't realize how you shift mindset wise also. And so the way I perceive obstacles has completely changed. I used to do, oh no, now this is happening to me again. And now I do, wow, I wonder what opportunity lies here. It's a really weird shift that I noticed in my writing. My writing is not negative anymore. It's all about possibilities. So note shifts by pictures, note shifts by the bullet points you write in your journals. I'm a bullet point person. And then take also note of something as simple as I keep one dress for my heavier days. And whenever I'm having a bad day, I put that dress on and do, okay, maybe I shouldn't be worried about that pooch on my stomach. I did have 2 children and I did drop 200 pounds. Okay, I have come a long way. And so you have to keep one little memory of your old self to your new self, because I'm so focused on running forward about all the wonderful doors that are opening as I'm moving forward, that every once in a while I do, where did I come from again?
Nice.
Ah, that's where I came from. Wow, you come a long way, baby.
Yeah. So there's also an idea that from time to time we could encounter an inner critic,
Oh,
right? So let me ask you, as we kind of move towards this closing of this fabulous experience I'm having with you today, I want to ask about the work that you do with so many people around the world. What do you think in terms of just taking a tally of everything that you're seeing nowadays? What do you think the biggest obstacles are that most people tend to face in terms of getting the life that they choose to live, that they want to live?
their biggest obstacle is themselves.
But,
Of what
but
they
what
believe
about
they're
themselves?
capable of.
Okay.
So many people believe that they are not capable of doing anything besides what they're doing now.
All
It's
right.
like that comfort zone. I'm really good at this. This is what I was told I'm good at. Oh, the bigger one is I've been doing this for so long. It's part of me. It's who I am. And I'm like, really? That you're going to let that stop you? Shift. I mean, so many of us have went to school or became whatever we are because of what society told us to be. I mean, I went in to be an engineer. I can't add worth a darn because of my brain injury. It's gone. And so if I stuck with what I was told to be or all the education I went through to get to, I would be very miserable because I'm not an engineer and I can't add. You So many people get trapped in, I spent so much time doing this. Yeah, so take whatever you learned from all that time and apply it to something you really want to do and keep going. I mean, with me, I loved engineering. I thought I loved engineering. What I loved was the building, the structure, the creating something new and beautiful. I can do that with people. I can do that with other things. It doesn't have to be building structures. So, what do you love about what you do that you can apply to what you want to do? Get out of your own way. Get out of that mindset of I'm 45 and I can't change. Yeah, you can, if you choose, if you really want it. And so get out of your own way. That's the biggest obstacle. People put themselves in a box and think because of my age, I can never move. I am happier living the biggest and best life I've ever had at 53 than I ever did in my first 47 years of life.
Yeah, well, we can just fill in that blank spot, because of my age, because of my color, because of my education or lack of it, because of my family system, because of any time that we have accepted the notion of can't, it's pretty much game over at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So what I hear in so much of what you've provided in terms of your books, in terms of your inspiring of people's lives, is to move from I can't to, so what do you really want? What would you choose if you didn't have the thought that you couldn't do that sort of thing? I remember an exercise in a program that we do, the Ultimate You, that you sit with 3 strangers, groups of 4, and you say, what is my color? It was an exercise from Barbara Scher's work. It's just a gorgeous little exercise. What is my color? And then 3 people sit behind your back and talk about you, talk behind your back about you. And I remember you just had tears in your eyes. It's like, how could they know me? How could they see this as a possibility for me? I don't even see this in myself. And I think that we do need to surround ourselves with the right messages, your books, your recordings, your videos, the talks that you give. We need to replace the negative voices that we're criticizing ourselves with, right? We are our own worst enemy. And we need to build I don't know, people call it vibration, people call it energy.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Right? We need to be able to raise all of the elements of our lives to that point that is resonant with who we are choosing to be. And oftentimes people will see it in you before you see it in yourself.
Well, that group exercise you're referring to, they describe the me now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And
you're amazing.
You're like, no, you did. No, you didn't. What are you talking about? Yeah.
I remember crying because I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to be on a stage. There's no way I'm going to do that. Why do they keep saying that? And then I met one of them again. Well, actually, Nathan Cook was part of that group. This is exactly who we saw all those years ago. And I'm like, thank you for seeing it, because I trusted I borrowed their belief in who I was to become who I am.
That's powerful. So kind of as a final idea for our time together, how does one borrow a more life-enhancing belief until we can adopt it as our own?
I think what really helped me see it is adopt it was I looked at my children. And I think back then I thought I was just this miserable human. There's nothing I can do. I'm going to keep trying to do it, that kind of thing. And then I remember you might have said it, actually. I think you probably did. Look at the people who love you. These people don't even know you and they see something great. Look at the people who love you. And I remember going home and looking at my husband and my children and the look they had in my eye, the admiration, the love. And I went, there's got to be something to love in me. I mean, these strangers saw it, and now these people that love me see it. And so I would borrow what they saw from their eyes. And I would do, yep, they believe I would be a better person. I ended up I wrote my own obituary from different points of view. And I remember thinking, wow, I am like living small. So I borrowed their belief. I believed the way they see me. And I tried to walk that way. And the next thing I knew, I wasn't trying, I was. And then I would come back to the Ultimate You group, our calls, and I would do, I'm doing it. I'm not trying anymore. I am. And so when we'd go through exercises, people would say, who are you? And I would do, I am me. And it changed the way I said it, everything about it. So borrow their belief by looking in their eyes and realizing they see a much more beautiful, powerful, loving person than you could ever imagine you are. Borrow it until you see yourself in the mirror like they see you. And that's been my biggest transformation. I walk in that light now and I believe it. I don't try, I am.
I so love that. Michelle, one of the things that you're describing is this word I often use, congruence. My thinking and feeling are congruent. Who I am personally and socially are congruent. My intention and my behavior are congruent. And people see that true source that's in your heart, that's printed on your brain when you came in to this world, right? There is this true source that you're here, this light that you're bringing into the world. And even if we're not living it congruently today,
Well,
we can become congruently expressing the truth of who we are. And I just want to say, you are a beautiful role model of how that can occur. And our listener right now, absolutely get a hold of Michelle's books and really come to understand that what a role model she is to inspire you to live into the full expression of who you are. Michelle, a parting thought for our beautiful audience?
yes, you can.
Right
I always say
on.
my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Maya Angelou said it best. And my thought is whatever you want, you can do. You have to choose to make those hard choices to be that person. And sometimes you lose a lot of people, but the pure ones that are supposed to be with you show up. So make room, keep going, listen, do paraliminals too, by the way, and go be the best version of you. Be unapologetically you.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much, Michelle. Such a pleasure to be with you. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Michelle Mras. You can learn more about Michelle at michellemras.com. That's MICHELLEMRAS.com. And now in the second part of the podcast, it's just you and me. I'll tell you how to use the paraliminal sessions in the MINDTRX app to easily handle obstacles and move toward the success you want, especially as it relates to our conversation with Michelle. If you're new to the relaxing paraliminal audio sessions, they use breakthrough technologies to activate your whole mind in only 20 minutes to help improve any area of your life. Let's get going. Welcome to the follow-on session of my conversation with the remarkable Michelle Mras. She is an amazing speaker, presenter, author, and a real living testament of the power of the human mind and one's intention to create the life that you choose to live. When I reviewed and thought about all of the things that she and I got to chat on, realize there are probably 5 areas that I would like to share with you how you might be able to get breakthrough in any area of your life that you may be facing some limitation. I looked at overcoming health challenges, brain injury issues, achieving your ideal weight, changing the voices of limitations that are going on in your mind, and holding a container of possibility. So we'll start with the health challenge because that's pretty easy. The ideal paraliminal in this case is perfect health. We also have the 5 elements healing. But at the time that Michelle first got into the work to help herself, she really used the perfect health paraliminal every single day. Now, she had a long way to go because she had a significant injury and some real health challenges along the way. She had cancer, she was 240 pounds overweight, and she had a traumatic brain injury. So her dedication to taking hold of possibility and listening to that ideal or to the perfect health paraliminal made a big, big difference for her. Eventually, she started working on her weight loss goal, and the paraliminal that's ideal for that is the ideal weight paraliminal. And ideal weight has 2 separate sessions in it. The first session is about your relationship with your physical body, the way in which you image yourself and the way you walk around in your own skin on a daily basis. Your relationship, when you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you feel about yourself? The second session on ideal weight is your relationship to food. She described both of those in vivid detail, and it took her a while to actually recognize in herself the changes that were taking place. And so the paraliminal that also helps quite a lot in this, which could work very effectively as well when dealing with traumatic brain injury, is the self-esteem supercharger, because you're able to hold 2 images simultaneously in mind. Being able to note small indications of progress in the right direction is very important. Now, she was faced with a brain injury that relegated her to sitting in a chair and staring at the wall. She said that there was a voice in her head that said, "Get up." And when she basically realized what was happening, she had gotten up and had walked 6 paces away from a chair that she couldn't get out of without assistance. So this was a wake-up call that her brain or her soul or her spirit was giving her that let her know that there is a possibility beyond what it is she might have ever imagined for herself. And self-esteem supercharger is a great one in this regard. Now, the 2 other paraliminals I recommend anytime we're dealing with our cognition, our ability to think or work out problems or learn anything new, are the personal genius and the memory supercharger paraliminals. Personal genius is like self-esteem supercharger for you as a learner that specifically focus on something that you are interested in learning. And memory supercharger is great. Certainly as we age, we feel that we're losing some of our mental capabilities. Personal genius to learn new things, like pick up a new sport, a hobby, art, music, something like that, a new language. Personal genius, really good. But memory supercharger is your ability to use your inner mind and bring back anything that you might have already learned. So you gain a lot more confidence in your inner mind, your subconscious mind, your other than conscious mind. Your subconscious memory bank becomes more available to you. You have better facility in putting information in as well as bringing it out. The fourth area was about changing the voices in your head. She said something in passing. I had heard it from other people, but it was the statement, your vibe attracts your tribe. I thought that this is really important. If you've got a lot of negative voices because of the tribe that you had attracted to yourself, out of your vulnerability or your limitation or your thoughts that you're not good enough or whatever it might be, those voices, the tribe, are basically amplifying the space that you're holding inside of yourself. If you believe you're no good, you'll find people that will reaffirm that you're no good. If you believe that you are good and you're deserving of more and better, you will attract those people who support you in that. So there is a paraliminal that makes sense around your vibe, and changing the voices of limitation is living the law of attraction, because it specifically addresses you raising your vibrational energy to be an attractive force for all of the good that you want to create. Remember in the dialogue I had with Michelle, that we talked about the effect preceding the cause. If you want to have the end effect of your life be something, you have to hold that effect in mind ahead of time. You have to be it mentally, emotionally, physically, live that way as if. And what you end up doing is training the brain, the mind, to attract to you all of the causes that will make that occur. We live in something more than a cause-effect universe. We live in a quantum mechanical universe in which the effect precedes the cause. So you want to live bigger, you have to truly embody that mentally first. And this gets to the idea of holding possibility, which is the fifth thing I want to talk about. To hold a container of possibility is to say that my history doesn't determine my future. Now, the new history generator is great at that. The one that you'll hear me refer to almost every time I do one of these follow-up sessions is the prosperity paraliminal, where you have access to the abundance that is available to you to create the life you choose to live. So holding a possibility is to recognize that that possibility exists abundantly in the world already. You remember that that was the start of Michelle's profound transformation when she met me after me giving a presentation at a group of about, I think it were close to 650 people or so in the room. She waited till everybody that wanted to talk to me was done. And she came up to me and she said, I need to work with you. Well, it wasn't possible for me to work with her at the time, but she got started on paraliminal listening right away. And to this day, she continues to be a real fan and real advocate, getting people to listen to paraliminals because of the profound difference it made for her. The fact that I was able, and the people around her were able, to see her for more than who she was presenting at that moment, with all the symptoms, the limitations, the excess body weight, the inability to focus her mind, her difficulty in actually even moving around the planet. When we see possibility in you, borrow their belief, borrow another person's belief in you. Use it. Try it on, feel it, and soon you'll discover you're believing in yourself in the same way that I believe in you, or the people who care most about you believe in you. Thanks very much for being a part of this. Great to be with you again. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me today. I applaud your willingness to maximize your potential. You can easily use the paraliminal audio sessions in the MINDTRX app to stimulate your non-conscious mind, that is your inner mind, to reduce any resistance in your life and to propel you toward the success you want. Visit mindtrx.com to learn more. These amazing audio tools have helped millions, and I encourage you to bring them into your world today. Be sure to be back for more episodes of the MINDTRX podcast. You'll find insightful conversations with authors, experts, and thought leaders, all devoted to improving your life's experience. Thank you again for being here on our MINDTRX podcast.